Pizza to help relationship breakups on Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day makes us think of romance, red roses, pink hearts and candlelit dinners. We rarely think about breaking up with a partner. Pizza Hut is selling a Valentine's pizza for those who want to break up with their partner. The name of your soon-to-be ex will be written on the box. Customers can also visit a Pizza Hut website to send a breakup message and a link for the future ex to receive a complimentary pizza. Pizza Hut said, "We are bringing that perfect blend of sweet and heat to real life. We are delivering spicy news in the sweetest way for Valentine's Day." It said breakups were awkward, so delivery drivers will deliver the bad news in the best way. It added, "We'll generate an expertly crafted, carefully curated, and potentially plausible breakup excuse for you." Around 45% of people believe it is best to end a relationship before February 14th.
When we think of Valentine's Day, we think of romance. Images of red roses, pink hearts, and candlelit dinners come to our minds. We rarely envisage breaking up with our partner. However, restaurant chain Pizza Hut is selling a Valentine's pizza for those who want to ditch their better half. Pizza Hut is selling hot honey goodbye pies in New York, Chicago, and Miami. Pizza Hut will write the name of your soon-to-be ex on the box of the pizza. For those who live elsewhere, Pizza Hut has an online service to aid the breakup. Customers can go to the goodbyepies.com website to send a breakup message, along with a link for the future ex to receive a complimentary pizza to help them get over being dumped. Pizza Hut's Goodbye Pie pizzas are a blend of sweet and spicy flavors. The company's chief marketing officer said, "With the launch of Goodbye Pies, we are bringing that perfect blend of sweet and heat to real life. We are delivering spicy news in the sweetest way for Valentine's Day." The company's website said, "Breakups are awkward. We can help. Send a free Goodbye Pie from now through Valentine's Day, and the delivery driver will deliver the bad news in the best way." It added, "We'll generate an expertly crafted, carefully curated, and potentially plausible breakup excuse for you." A YouGov poll stated that 45% of people believe it is best to end a relationship before February 14.
Climate change means Category 6 hurricane needed. Scientists say we need a new category for hurricanes because climate change is causing more powerful storms. The scientists want to add a Category 6 to the current 1 to 5 scale used to measure hurricanes. A Category 5 measures winds of up to 252 kph. The scientists say a new Category of 6 measures winds of over 309 kph. They say that in the past 10 years there have been 5 hurricanes and typhoons that would be a Category 6. A scientist said he wants more discussions about how to better communicate risk in a warming world. He said greenhouse gases are increasing temperatures and heating oceans. This gives the water extra energy, which makes hurricanes more powerful. Wind speeds are much higher. The scientist thinks there will be more superstorms in the future. He said, "These storms keep getting stronger as the climate changes."
Climate change means Category 6 hurricane needed. Weather experts are calling for a new, stronger category for hurricanes. They say this is because climate change is causing more powerful storms. Scientists in the USA want to extend the current scale used to measure hurricanes. This scale ranks storms from 1 to 5. A Category 5 is currently the strongest. This is when winds reach 252 kilometers per hour. The meteorologists say a new Category of 6 is needed for winds of over 309 kilometers per hour. Their studies show that in the past decade, there have been 5 hurricanes and typhoons that would have been a Category 6. Hurricanes and typhoons are the same weather phenomenon. The former start in the Atlantic Ocean, while the latter occur in the northwestern Pacific Ocean. Meteorologist Dr. James Cawson said it would take a long time for a new Category 6 to be accepted. It would need the USA's National Hurricane Center to start researching more intense storms. Dr. Cawson hopes to inform broader discussions about how to better communicate risk in a warming world. He said significantly increasing temperatures are caused by greenhouse gas emissions. This increase in emissions is heating oceans, which gives the water extra energy. This makes hurricanes more powerful, with much higher wind speeds. He believes there will be a greater number of superstorms in the future. He said, "These storms keep getting stronger as the climate changes."
Japan relaxes haircut rules to attract army recruits. Very short haircuts are common among soldiers and sailors worldwide. Japan has said it will relax rules for military recruits to have short hair. This is to attract more young people. Japan's army and companies are experiencing staff shortages. From April, recruits to Japan's Self-Defense Forces, SDF, will be allowed to have longer hair. Women can have long hair, as long as they can wear a helmet or it is not below the shoulders. Recruitment experts discussed how to increase troop numbers. There is a decreasing number of young people to recruit from. Japan's defense minister said, "As our nation faces a serious workforce shortage, we recognize competition with others, including the private sector, to secure talent has been intensifying." He said the new haircut rules are more rational. Japan might also allow people with tattoos to join the SDF.
Japan relaxes haircut rules to attract army recruits. The short back and sides haircut is ubiquitous among soldiers, sailors, and airmen and women in armies, navies, and air forces worldwide. The Japanese Defense Ministry has just announced it will relax rules for new recruits to have this crew cut style. This is in a bid to attract more young people to its ranks. Many companies in Japan are experiencing staff shortages, and the military is no exception. From April this year, new enlistees to Japan's Self-Defense Forces, SDF, will be allowed to have longer hair. Men will be able to sport longer hair on top, while female personnel can have long hair, provided it does not interfere with the wearing of a helmet or does not fall below the shoulders. According to the Kyodo News Agency, recruitment experts met last month to discuss how troop numbers could be boosted. Japan's defense forces are up against an ever-dwindling number of young people to recruit from. In addition, they have to compete with businesses who are more aggressively trying to lure new employees. Japan's defense minister said, "As our nation faces a serious workforce shortage, we recognize competition with others, including the private sector, to secure talent has been intensifying." He added that the easing of haircut rules would change or eliminate regulations that lack rationality. In a related move, the ministry is considering allowing people with tattoos to join the SDF.
Mount Everest climbers must now keep their poo. Mount Everest is the world's highest mountain. An increase in the number of climbers has led to poo being left on the slopes. A local official said, "Our mountains have begun to stink." He added, "Human poo is visible on rocks, and some climbers are falling sick. This is not acceptable. It damages our image." Climbers must now buy a biodegradable poop bag for their poo. They then throw the bag away when they come down from the mountain. The problem of waste and litter on Everest is growing. Climbers leave camping equipment and cans of oxygen on the slopes. There may be over 3 tons of human poo between base camp and the top of Everest. Much of this freezes. It does not degrade. The India Today website said the poop bags will help to restore the dignity of this iconic peak. It added that the bags would be good for the health of climbers and the local environment.
Mount Everest climbers must now keep their poo. There is a new rule about going to the toilet on Mount Everest. People climbing the world's highest peak will now have to take their own poop back to base camp. There has been an increase in the number of climbers on the mountain. This has led to a problem of human waste being left on the slopes. Mingma Sherpa, a local official, told the BBC, "Our mountains have begun to stink." He added, "We are getting complaints that human stools are visible on rocks, and some climbers are falling sick. This is not acceptable. It damages our image." The new rule requires climbers to buy a biodegradable poop bag. They can dispose of the bag and its contents when they come down from the mountain. It will be checked by workers there. The problem of waste, litter, and pollution on Mount Everest has been growing for years. Many people leave camping equipment on the slopes. Thousands of discarded cans of oxygen litter the mountain. An environmental organization estimated that there was around 3 tons of human poo between base camp and the summit of Everest. Much of this freezes and does not degrade. The India Today website said the poop bags will help with the waste problem. It wrote, "It is hoped that this measure, along with ongoing cleanup campaigns, will help restore the dignity of this iconic peak." It added that the waste bags would safeguard the health of both climbers and the local environment.
Decimal point 150 years older than thought. Newly found documents are exciting mathematicians worldwide. The records of an Italian merchant and astronomer from the 1440s show a decimal point. This find is significant because it means the decimal point is 150 years older than we previously thought. The merchant made many observations of the heavens. He also wrote horoscopes. A mathematician noticed the decimal point in one of the merchant's works on astronomy. Decimal points are an important part of life today. Some versions of decimals did exist 1,000 years ago. One form was used in the Islamic world in the 900s. It is likely the merchant traveled to the Middle East and learnt from scholars there. Intellectuals in China also used a version in the 1200s. The earliest known use of the decimal point was in 1593. A German astronomer used a system of decimals in his study of space.
Decimal point 150 years older than thought. A new discovery has excited mathematicians around the globe. Recently unearthed documents show a decimal point in the records of a merchant named Giovanni Bianchini, who lived in Venice in the 1440s. Historians have hailed the find as being significant, as it means the decimal point is 150 years older than was previously thought. Bianchini was a keen astronomer. He made many notations about his observances of the heavens. He also provided Venetians with horoscopes based on astrological calculations of the alignment of stars and planets. Mathematician Dr. Glenn van Brumlin noticed the use of a decimal point in one of Bianchini's treatises between 1441 and 1450. Decimal points are such an integral part of life today that it seems they would have been used for thousands of years. Historians say some versions of decimals have existed for over 1,000 years. Records show a form of the mathematical dot being used in the Islamic world in the 900s. It is likely that Bianchini traveled to the Middle East and was influenced by scholars there who were key in forging many mathematical concepts. Other historical evidence shows intellectuals using a form of the point in China in the 1200s. Before the recent discovery, the earliest known definitive use of the decimal point was in 1593. Then, German mathematician Christopher Clavius used a system of decimals in his study of astronomy.
Cold weather exercise burns more calories. Exercise is important for our health. It lowers the risk of heart disease and helps us to stick to a healthy weight. Doctors say that exercising in cold weather is good for us. It benefits our physical and mental health. This is because the cold gives our heart a bigger workout. A doctor from New York explained why. She said, "Your heart has to work a little bit harder to pump blood around your body. This can help to boost your endurance over time." The doctor said the body burns calories at a faster rate when it is cold. She said your body works harder to keep warm, so you use up more calories. Physical activity in the cold boosts our metabolism, which helps us lose weight. Another benefit of exercising in the cold is that natural light helps to reduce our stress. Many people have seasonal affective disorder, SAD. This is a sadness caused by the short, dark days of winter.
Cold weather exercise burns more calories. Everybody knows that exercise is essential to keep us healthy. It lowers the risk of heart disease and helps us to maintain a healthy weight. It also reduces stress and makes us happier. Doctors say that exercising in cold weather is even better for us. Going for a jog or even a swim when it's chilly or freezing outside has extra benefits for our physical and mental health. The reason for this is that the cold gives our heart a more energetic workout. Dr. Angela Pepjonovich, from the Hospital for Special Surgery in New York, explained why. She said, "Your heart has to work a little bit harder to pump blood around your body in the cold. This can help to boost your endurance over time." Dr. Pepjonovich said cold weather workouts can help the body burn calories at a faster rate. She said, "As your body is required to work harder to maintain its core temperature, you actually increase your calorie burn by exercising in the cold." Physical activity in cold temperatures can boost our metabolism, which helps us lose weight. In the cold, our metabolism slows down, so we can preserve fat and keep warm. Another benefit is that being in natural light helps to reduce our stress. This is especially so for people who suffer from seasonal affective disorder, SAD. This is a type of depression caused by the shorter, darker days of winter. It is more common in people who live far from the equator.
Airline starts to weigh luggage and passengers. Finland's national airline is weighing passengers on flights from its capital city. The weigh-ins are voluntary and anonymous. They are to ensure safety standards on flights are met. Airplanes should not exceed the maximum weight for safe takeoffs and landings. This weight is made up of the aircraft, the fuel, baggage, cargo, food, water, and passengers. Airlines never know the exact weight of passengers. They rely on estimates given by aviation officials. Volunteers are stepping on scales at Helsinki Airport's departure gates. Finnair was concerned about a customer backlash because weight is a personal topic. However, more than 1,000 passengers agreed to be weighed. The company said, "We hope to have a good sample so that we can get the most accurate information possible for important balance calculations." It said travelers could have peace of mind about their personal information.
Airline starts to weigh luggage and passengers. Finland's national carrier Finnair has started weighing passengers on its flights from the capital city of Helsinki. The weigh-ins are being done on a voluntary basis and are completely anonymous. A company spokesperson said the new initiative is to ensure safety standards on flights are adhered to. He said any airplane should not exceed the prescribed maximum weight for safe takeoffs and landings. This weight is made up of the aircraft itself, the fuel, checked baggage and cargo, onboard catering, water tanks, and passengers. Finnair said airlines never know the exact weight of passengers and their carry-on baggage, so they have to rely on average estimates provided by aviation authorities. Passengers who volunteer to be weighed are stepping on weighing scales at the departure gates at Helsinki Airport. Finnair officials were initially concerned about a customer backlash because weight is such a personal issue. However, in the first week of the tests, over 1,000 passengers had agreed to be weighed. The company said, "We hope to have a good sample of volunteers, both business and leisure travelers, so that we can get the most accurate information possible for important balance calculations." It added, "Our customers have taken it really positively so far." An official said travelers could rest assured and have peace of mind that their weight would not be linked to their personal data.
Hollywood actor says OpenAI Sora could cause job losses. Actor Tyler Perry is worried people in Hollywood will lose jobs because of AI. He has delayed spending $800 million on his studio. Instead, he will wait to see how AI affects jobs. He is worried about OpenAI's new text-to-video tool, Sora. He said his studio project was on hold because of Sora. He told The Hollywood Reporter website, "There's got to be some sort of rules in order to protect us from AI. Sora can make videos up to a minute long. The user types some text, and the software creates a video." Sora is a Japanese word, meaning sky. The New York Times said the name shows Sora's limitless creative potential. Tyler Perry said, "It makes me worry so much about all of the people in the industry who would be affected by this, including actors and editors." He added, "I'm thinking this will touch every corner of our industry."
Hollywood actor says OpenAI Sora could cause job losses. Hollywood producer and actor Tyler Perry is worried that AI will cause job losses in the movie industry. He gave a personal example of how this is happening now. He said he had plans for an $800 million studio expansion. He has delayed going ahead with this project. Instead, he is waiting to see what happens with AI. He thinks AI will have a big impact on jobs. He told The Hollywood Reporter website about his worries. He said, "There's got to be some sort of regulations in order to protect us from AI. If not, I just don't see how we survive." He said OpenAI's new text-to-video tool, Sora, made him delay his work on his studio. He said his project is on hold because of Sora and what I'm seeing. Sora is a new tool that can generate videos up to a minute long. All the user has to do is type a prompt, and the software will create a video. It can also create a video from a photo. Sora has been named after the Japanese word for sky. The New York Times said this was to show the tool's limitless creative potential. Tyler Perry said he understood how useful AI will be in filmmaking. However, he worries about job losses. He said, "It makes me worry so much about all of the people in the business. I immediately started thinking of everyone in the industry who would be affected by this, including actors and editors." He added, "I'm thinking this will touch every corner of our industry."
It once rained for 2 million years, say scientists. Farmers pray for the heavens to open in times of drought. However, they could never imagine a period of rain lasting 2 million years. A UK geologist has found that 200 to 300 million years ago, when there was just a single landmass, it rained non-stop for up to 2 million years. This helped the development of flowers and animals all over the globe. The geologist believes the rain may have been caused by a huge rise in humidity following massive volcanic eruptions. The geologist based his findings on research conducted on ancient rock in Europe in the 1970s. There were strange deposits in the rock. The geologist said this suggests the long wet period may have been the trigger that allowed dinosaurs and modern animals to diversify. He added, "It may have been one of the most important events in the history of life. It could be how many of the creatures we see today started, like turtles, crocodiles, lizards and mammals."
It once rained for 2 million years, say scientists. Farmers pray for rain in times of drought. Most of us have experience of wanting the heavens to open for our garden to be watered during an excessively dry spell. However, none of us can imagine a prolonged period of rain lasting 2 million years. UK geologist and forensic scientist Alastair Ruffell has discovered that 200 to 300 million years ago, before the single landmass of Pangaea separated into continents, Earth did see an era during which it rained non-stop for up to 2 million years. Dr. Ruffell said this helped forge the development of flora and fauna all over the globe. He believes the precipitation may have been sparked by a huge rise in humidity following a series of massive volcanic eruptions. Dr. Ruffell and his team based their findings on research conducted on strata of rock in the Eastern Alps in Europe in the 1970s and 80s. The data showed unusual layers deposited in ancient rock that dated back over 200 million years. Ruffell said this led to growing evidence that the wet period may have been the trigger that enabled dinosaurs and possibly the other members of our modern land-based fauna to diversify and dominate the land. He added, it may have been one of the most important events in the history of life in terms of its role in allowing not only the age of dinosaurs, but also the origins of most key classes that form the modern fauna of turtles, crocodiles, lizards, and mammals.
Dating apps are becoming less popular. For a long time, smartphones have had a big role in dating. Apps have made it easier to meet a new partner. However, dating app companies are in trouble. The two biggest companies have lost $40 billion in value since 2021. Workers in these companies are losing their jobs. This is because young people do not want to pay to subscribe to use the apps. Instead, they are using free platforms like TikTok. Companies need subscriptions to make money. In 2017, a poll found that by 2040, 70% of couples would meet online. However, times are changing. Younger people have less money to spend. A newspaper asked young people about dating apps. An 18-year-old said she preferred to meet people in person or through social media. She said dating apps were like a game. None of her friends paid for the apps. She thought that paying for them was no.
Dating apps are becoming less popular. For nearly 2 decades, smartphones have played a huge role in romance, love, and dating. Dozens of apps have been created to make it easier to meet a partner. However, dating app companies seem to be in trouble. The world's 2 largest companies have lost more than $40 billion in market value since 2021. Workers for these companies are losing their jobs. The reason for this is that fewer young people are paying to use the apps. The app companies rely on subscriptions to make a profit. However, many teenagers and people in their 20s no longer want to subscribe to use dating apps. Instead, they are choosing to use free platforms like Snapchat and TikTok to find romance. In 2017, NBC News predicted that by 2040, the percentage of couples meeting online would be 70%. Today, in the United States, 30% of adults and over half of adults under 30 use dating apps. About a third of dating app users say they pay for them. However, times are changing. Younger people around the world have less money to spend on things like apps. The New York Times interviewed young people about dating apps. One 18-year-old student said she preferred to meet people in person or through direct messages on social media. She said dating apps were for casual use, like a game. She added that none of her friends paid for them. She thought that paying for an app was a no-no.
Giant blueberry smashes record for heaviest ever. A farmer in Australia has broken the record for growing the world's biggest blueberry. The giant berry weighed 20.4 grams. This smashed the previous record of 16.2 grams. The record breaker was as wide as a table tennis ball. It was 39.31 millimeters in diameter. It was 10 times heavier than a regular blueberry. The farmer said he was happy to be verified by Guinness World Records. He said his fruit was because of good breeding. The blueberry is from the Eterna variety. The farmer said this is a consistently large fruit with a great flavor. He added, while the fruit is large, there's absolutely no compromise on quality or flavor. At first, he was unsure if he had broken the record. He said he had to check the weighing scales to make sure. When asked what he would do with his prize berry, he said he might use it in a smoothie.
Giant blueberry smashes record for heaviest ever. A farmer in Australia has just entered the record books for growing the world's biggest ever blueberry. The giant berry weighed in at a mammoth 20.4 grams. This obliterated the previous record, which was 16.2 grams. The record breaker had a width the size of that of a table tennis ball, a diameter of 39.31 millimeters, and a 12.35 centimeter circumference. The record-breaking berry was almost 10 times heavier than a regular blueberry. The fruit was grown by staff at the Costa Group in New South Wales, Australia. Senior horticulturalist Brad Hawking said he was overjoyed to have the record officially verified by Guinness World Records. He said, "It's a combination of good breeding and good growing." Mr. Hawking said his blueberry was from the Eterna variety, known for its crisp texture and long shelf life. He told reporters, "Eterna, as a variety, has a really great flavor and a consistently large fruit. When we picked this one, there were probably around 20 other berries of a similar size." He added, "While the fruit is large, there's absolutely no compromise on quality or flavor, as would be expected when developing a premium variety." At first, he was unsure whether he had broken the record. He said, "We had to recalibrate the scales to make sure we weren't getting mixed up." When asked what he would do with his prize berry, he suggested a smoothie might be the most fitting end for it.
Human speech is 8 times older than we thought. Researchers may have found the time in history when humans first spoke. An expert believes that language started 1.6 million years ago. This is 8 times earlier than we thought. Experts thought spoken human language began 200,000 years ago. Studies show that the first human language developed in Africa. The expert said speech was, without doubt, the key which made much of human physical and cultural evolution possible. The expert wrote about human speech in a book called The Language Puzzle. He says our brain got bigger 1.5 million years ago. An area for language developed in our brain. Another important development was of tissue that could make sounds, and therefore speech. Speech allowed humans to move all over the world. It meant humans could think of and plan future actions, and they could pass on knowledge.
Human speech is 8 times older than we thought. Researchers say they have found the likely time in history when human beings first began to speak. Dr. Stephen Mithen, an archaeologist and expert in prehistory, suggested that basic language was formed around 1.6 million years ago. This is 8 times earlier than many scientists thought. Experts in evolution previously believed that spoken human language began around 200,000 years ago. Mithen said his studies show that the first human language developed either in Eastern or Southern Africa. He said the ability to speak helped evolution. He said speech was, without doubt, the key which made much of subsequent human physical and cultural evolution possible. Dr. Mithun explains how he believes human speech developed so long ago in his new book called The Language Puzzle. He says our brain quickly increased in size just over 1.5 million years ago. This increase changed the structure of our brain. An area called the frontal lobe developed. This is the part of the brain that produces language. Another important change was the development of our vocal tract. This is where we produce sound and therefore speech. Mithun said speech allowed humans to spread around the world. It meant humans could do three important things. They could think of and plan future actions, and they could pass on knowledge. Mithun said language changed the human story profoundly.
UN warns of environmental e-waste catastrophe. The UN issued a warning about the amount of electronics we are throwing away. It is at record levels. The US is worried about an environmental catastrophe. Electronic waste often contains toxic chemicals like mercury. The UN reported that in 2022, we created 62 million tons of e-waste. CNN said this could fill more than 1.5 million 40-ton trucks, which, if placed bumper to bumper, could wrap around the equator. A lot of e-waste is sent to poor countries for recycling. However, they often cannot recycle in a way that minimizes environmental damage. E-waste is creating many health problems. It is poisoning rivers and seas. Worryingly, 58 tons of mercury entered the environment and food chain last year. The UN blamed manufacturers for failing to accept responsibility for what happens to their products. It also blamed consumerism.
UN warns of environmental e-waste catastrophe. The United Nations has issued a stark warning to consumers worldwide. The volume of electronics we are throwing away is creating an environmental catastrophe. We are disposing of record amounts of e-waste. The UN defines electronics as anything with a plug or a battery and often contains toxic chemicals and substances such as lead and mercury. E-waste includes discarded cell phones, refrigerators, and e-cigarettes. The UN Global E-Waste Monitor has reported that in 2022, the world generated a mind-blowing 62 million tons of e-waste. CNN said this waste could fill more than 1.5 million 40-ton trucks, which, if placed bumper to bumper, could wrap around the equator. Most e-waste comes from developed countries. A lot of it is sent to poorer countries for recycling. However, these countries lack the technology and resources to dispose of it in a way that minimizes environmental damage. The sheer volume of waste is creating a plethora of health problems. Dumped electronics are poisoning rivers and seas. A disturbing 58 tons of mercury entered the environment last year. Some of this enters the food chain. The UN blamed manufacturers for showing a lack of duty of care by failing to accept responsibility for what happens to their products. It also blamed consumers, saying, it's just a few clicks to buy electronics, but it's far more difficult to dispose of them.
Climate change increases price of Easter eggs. Easter eggs will be more expensive this year because of climate change. Extreme weather is making cocoa more difficult to grow. Cocoa beans are used to make chocolate. Most of the world's cocoa beans come from West Africa. Heat waves and heavy rains have cut cocoa bean harvests. Reuters said cocoa prices have more than doubled in the past year. A climate analyst said cocoa farmers were struggling in the face of both extreme heat and rainfall. People give chocolate eggs at Easter. This celebrates the resurrection of Jesus. Chocolate eggs first appeared in France in 1725. In 1873, an English chocolate company made the first hollow chocolate egg. It was like the ones we can buy today. Wikipedia says, in Western cultures, the giving of chocolate eggs is now commonplace. However, climate analysts say we need to cut fossil fuel emissions to have cocoa and chocolate.
Climate change increases price of Easter eggs. This year's Easter eggs will be much more expensive than last year's. The reason is climate change. Extreme weather patterns have made growing cocoa more challenging. Cocoa beans are used to make chocolate. Around 70% of the world's cocoa beans are grown in West Africa. Recent heat waves, droughts, and heavy rain in Ghana and the Ivory Coast have greatly reduced the amount of cocoa beans grown. Temperatures have been 4 degrees higher than normal. The Reuters news agency said cocoa prices have more than doubled compared to this time last year. Amber Sawyer, an energy and climate analyst, said farmers in West Africa were struggling in the face of both extreme heat and rainfall. Chocolate eggs are given as gifts for the Christian holiday of Easter, which celebrates the resurrection of Jesus. Traditionally, people dyed and painted chicken eggs. Wikipedia says chocolate eggs first appeared at the court of Louis XIV in France in 1725. In 1873, the English chocolate company J.S. Fry produced the first hollow chocolate egg similar to the ones people give today. Wikipedia says, in Western cultures, the giving of chocolate eggs is now commonplace, with 80 million Easter eggs sold in the UK alone. However, climate change is making it more difficult to grow the cocoa beans. Climate analysts say we need to do more to reduce fossil fuel emissions if we want a steady supply of cocoa and chocolate.
AI an extinction level threat, says study by experts. Artificial intelligence is an existential threat. So says a US report, which painted a worst-case scenario, extinction-level threat, to humanity. It identified a growing risk to national security. The report said there was a clear and urgent need for the government to intervene, quickly and decisively. It said AI could destabilize global security, in ways reminiscent of the introduction of nuclear weapons. It called for the regulation of AI companies. The report was commissioned by the U.S. State Department. Experts spoke at length to AI companies like OpenAI and Google. The experts recommended upper limits on the amount of computing power for an AI model. They also recommended making it illegal to reveal the coding behind AI. The Futurism.com website spoke to researchers who said there's a 5% chance that humans will be driven to extinction.
AI an extinction-level threat, says study by experts. A report commissioned by the U.S. State Department has warned of the existential threat from artificial intelligence. The report posited a worst-case scenario, extinction-level threat to humanity. The authors identified a growing risk to national security posed by rapidly expanding AI capabilities from weaponization and loss of control. The report added that there was a clear and urgent need for the U.S. government to intervene quickly and decisively. It continued, the rise of advanced AI has the potential to destabilize global security in ways reminiscent of the introduction of nuclear weapons. The report calls for a new federal agency to regulate companies developing AI tools and to limit the growth of AI. The 247-page report was commissioned by the State Department in November 2022. It was written by a company that provides technical briefings and guidance on AI. The authors spoke extensively to experts at AI companies like OpenAI, Google DeepMind, and Meta. The authors recommended setting an upper limit on how much computing power an AI model could have. They also recommended making it a criminal offense to open source or reveal the coding behind more powerful AI models. The Futurism.com website stated over half of the AI researchers surveyed say there's a 5% chance that humans will be driven to extinction, among other extremely bad outcomes.
Gmail celebrates its 20th birthday. Gmail had its 20th birthday on Monday. When it started, on the 1st of April, 2004, it changed everything. It offered 1 gigabyte of storage for free. Other email companies only gave 15 megabytes. Some people thought it was a joke because it started on April Fool's Day. However, Gmail became a must-have tool. Another reason for Gmail's success is that it searched mails very quickly and was great at filtering spam. More than 1.7 billion people use Gmail. It now has 15 gigabytes of free storage. It also has new features. One of these is a one-click unsubscribe button. Another is an undo send button. Users can stop a mail from being sent even after they click send. The PC Mag website said Gmail is so fixed in so many people's lives that hardly anyone thinks much about it. Maybe people will use Gmail forever.
Gmail celebrates its 20th birthday. The world's most utilized email provider turned 20 on Monday. Gmail was launched on the 1st of April, 2004. At that time, it was revolutionary because it offered a huge amount of storage and it was free. Some people thought it was a hoax because it was announced on April Fool's Day. However, it was no joke. Gmail offered an enormous 1 gigabyte of storage for free. Many other providers only provided 15 megabytes. At first, people could only sign up for Gmail after receiving an invitation. It became a must-have tool for technology fans. Another reason for Gmail's success is that it searched mails faster than any other email service at the time. It was also better at filtering spam. Since 2004, Gmail has become the world's biggest email provider. More than 1.7 billion people use it. That's 20% of the world population. Around 45% of email users in the USA use it. Over the years, Google has increased its free storage to 15 gigabytes and has added many new features. One of these is a one-click unsubscribe button to keep unwanted mail away. Another feature is an undo send button. This allows users to stop a mail from being sent after clicking send. The PC Mag website said Gmail is an important part of life today. It wrote, Gmail is so embedded in so many people's lives that hardly anyone thinks much about it. It is likely people will use it forever.
Rockets and planes chase the solar eclipse. Pilots have chased a total eclipse of the sun. It happened while people in North America looked at this rare, celestial event. NASA sent high-altitude planes with special sensors and instruments to gather information from the eclipse. Pilots flew 15,240 meters high to get a view of the corona, the sun's outer surface. NASA also fired rockets into Earth's upper atmosphere to try to find out about some of the sun's mysteries. A total solar eclipse blocks the sun and momentarily turns day to night. Totality means the sun's corona is 1,000,000 times dimmer than the sun. A solar astrophysicist explained that total solar eclipses let us study and see the corona in ways that just would not be possible at any other time. Solar eclipses often confuse animals. They wake up nocturnal animals and make birds fall silent. Motorists should slow down, as visibility can change.
Rockets and planes chase the solar eclipse. Astronomers and pilots chased a solar eclipse across the heavens on Monday. This occurred while millions of people in Canada, the USA, and Mexico gazed into the sky to catch a glimpse of a rare celestial event. A total eclipse of the sun. The sun, moon, and Earth aligned to block the view of the sun's disk. NASA equipped its high-altitude WB-57 planes with special sensors and instrumentation to gather information from the unique solar event. Pilots navigated a path within the eclipse, 15,240 meters high, to get a view of the corona, the sun's outer surface. NASA also fired rockets into Earth's upper atmosphere, known as the ionosphere, to try to unravel some of the sun's greatest mysteries. A total solar eclipse happens when the moon obscures the face of the sun from view. This celestial phenomenon momentarily turns day to night. Totality means the sun's corona becomes 1,000,000 times dimmer than the sun's disk. This makes it easier for scientists to observe and study the sun. Dr. Amir Kasbi, a solar astrophysicist, explained that total solar eclipses let us study and see the corona in ways that just would not be possible at any other time and in any other way. Solar eclipses often have confusing effects on nature. They briefly stir nocturnal creatures and make birds and insects fall silent. Motorists can also be affected and should slow down as lighting and visibility conditions change.
Chechnya bans music that is too slow or too fast. Chechnya has made a rule about music speed. It has banned songs that are too fast or too slow. It said all music and songs should have a tempo of between 80 to 116 beats per minute. 80 beats per minute is much slower than most modern pop music. However, Russia's national anthem is 76 beats per minute. There has been no word about whether it can be played. It seems likely it will not have to follow the new rule. The ban on up-tempo and down-tempo music is to protect Chechnya's culture. The Moscow Times said it was to root out any hint of westernization. Chechnya's leader said, borrowing musical culture from other peoples is not allowed. The culture minister said the ban will give children their cultural heritage. Local artists must rewrite their songs to follow the new rule. People will no longer be able to listen to techno music or many pop songs.
Chechnya bans music that is too slow or too fast. The Culture Ministry of the Russian Republic of Chechnya has made a rule about what speed of music people can listen to. The ministry has banned songs that are too fast or too slow. It made an announcement about the tempo of songs allowed. It said, from now on, all musical, vocal, and choreographic works should correspond to a tempo of between 80 to 116 beats per minute. The new standard, which starts at 80 beats per minute, is much slower than a lot of modern-day pop music. However, the Russian national anthem is usually played at 76 beats per minute. There has been no word from the Culture Ministry about whether the anthem can be played. It seems likely the anthem will be an exception to the new rule. The ban on music that is too up-tempo or too down-tempo is to protect Chechnya's culture and traditions. The Moscow Times said it was to root out any hint of westernization. Chechnya's leader, Ramzan Kadyrov, said the ban was to make music conform to the Chechen mentality. He added, borrowing musical culture from other peoples is inadmissible. Musa Dadaev, Chechnya's culture minister, said, we must bring to the people and to the future of our children the cultural heritage of the Chechen people. Local artists have until June the 1st to rewrite their songs to follow the new tempo. People in Chechnya will no longer be able to listen to techno music or many songs by Beyoncé, Drake, and Taylor Swift.
Rising auto insurance premiums fueling inflation. Rising car insurance costs are adding to inflationary pressures. Costs are rising at their fastest ever rates. They are a huge 22.2% higher than this time last year. No other category of spending has increased like car insurance. The average cost of car insurance in the US is over $2,300 per year. Rising prices are affecting the lowest paid most. Insurance is a huge burden for people struggling to survive in the cost of living crisis. An industry analyst said the biggest factor for costlier insurance was the number of new cars. He said, if you wreck your car, the replacement cost is really high. He said technology in modern cars is expensive to repair and replace. A new battery in an electric car can cost up to $20,000. Even a simple fender bender could damage sensors and cameras. One factor that is increasing labor costs is a shortage of car mechanics.
Rising auto insurance premiums fueling inflation. Skyrocketing auto insurance premiums are fueling inflationary pressures in the USA. Costs have been rising at their fastest ever rates. Premiums jumped 2.6% in March alone, which means costs are a whopping 22.2% higher than this time last year. The increases contributed to inflation rising by 0.4% last month. No other category of spending has soared as much as auto insurance. FoxBusiness.com said the average cost of car insurance in the U.S. has surpassed $2,300 per year, which amounts to about $192 a month. The rising prices are impacting the lowest paid most. Insurance is becoming more of a financial burden for those struggling to make ends meet in the cost of living crisis. Automotive analyst Sean Tucker tried to explain what is behind the rising prices. He said, I think the biggest factor is a combination of new cars and them being more expensive, so if you wreck your car, the replacement cost is really high, and a fender bender is very expensive right now. He attributed the sophistication of technology, gadgetry, and safety equipment in modern cars to more expensive repair and replacement costs. The cost of replacing the battery in an electric car can range from $6,500 to well over $20,000. A simple fender bender is likely to damage costly embedded sensors, cameras, and sonar. One factor driving up labor costs is a shortage of car mechanics.
Seafood could have higher levels of forever chemicals. A study says high levels of forever chemicals may be in seafood. Forever chemicals are man-made toxins. They stay in our blood and lead to health issues. These include cancer and kidney problems. Researchers said we need safety guidelines for these chemicals in seafood, especially for marine creatures like prawns and lobster. People who love sushi and prawn cocktails may have to change their diet and eat less seafood. Forever chemicals were created in the 1930s. Today, they are found in food packaging, food wrappers, and food containers. Over the decades, the chemicals have entered our food chain. A professor wants people to enjoy seafood, but also to be aware of the risks. She said, "Our recommendation isn't to not eat seafood." She thinks it is important for us to understand more about what is in the food we eat.
Seafood could have higher levels of forever chemicals. A new study has suggested that higher levels of forever chemicals may exist in seafood. Forever chemicals are man-made toxins that do not break down. They can stay in human blood and lead to a variety of health issues. These include cancer, kidney and liver problems, hormonal changes, and damage to the development of babies in the womb. Researchers from Dartmouth College in the USA said there should be safety guidelines for forever chemicals in seafood. They say that the level of these toxins is highest in marine creatures like shrimp, prawns, and lobster. This could mean people who love sushi, sashimi, and prawn cocktails may have to rethink their diet and eat a little less seafood. Forever chemicals were developed in the 1930s. Since the 1950s, they have been used to make many products. They are commonly found in food packaging. Most of our food wrappers, takeout containers, pizza boxes, and other food holders contain the chemicals. Over the decades, these chemicals have entered our food chain. Researchers said they were in higher levels in seafood. Professor Megan Romano said she wanted people to continue to enjoy seafood, but to be aware of the risks. She said, "Our recommendation isn't to not eat seafood. Seafood is a great source of lean protein and omega fatty acids." She added it was important for people to understand more about what is in the food we eat.